Welcome to Big Tobacco Messed with the Wrong Moms. I'm Meredith Berkman,
And I'm Dorian Furman, and we're the Wrong Moms.
and we're also co-founders of Parents Against Vaping E-Cigarettes, PAVE, and we hope you'll check out our website, parentsagainst.vaping.org, to learn more about our work fighting the youth vaping epidemic and the predatory behavior of big tobacco.
But today, we are thrilled to have on our first podcast of the new season, Robin Koval, who is the CEO and president of Truth Initiative, the national public health organization dedicated to achieving a culture where all young people reject smoking, vaping, and nicotine. Welcome, Robin. Thank you for talking with us today.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work you do.
While we're very familiar with truth, and I think so many people are familiar with the work, they may not really know where truth came from. So if you could just give us the backstory of the Truth Initiative, and then we'll get into the really important work.
Sure. So, Truth Initiative, which was originally the American Legacy Foundation, came out of a very famous lawsuit from the late 90s. You remember back then, 46 states sued what were the four big tobacco companies then. And the settlement of that lawsuit became known as the Master Settlement Agreement. It's still the largest civil litigation ever in the United States, settled for about 200 billion plus dollars. Most of that money went and still goes to the states, but a portion was carved out to create this foundation. It's called the American Legacy Foundation. Now it's Truth Initiative. Um, and our purpose really was to focus on youth and young adults, and at the time, prevent smoking. Now, of course, we focus on vaping as well. Um, and we began, and what people probably know us best for, in 2000, we launched a very famous public education campaign targeted at young people called the Truth Campaign. Um, Advertising, events, all sorts of things like that, that has been incredibly effective. In fact, it's been called one of the most effective public health education campaigns ever. We have done multiple evaluations of the program, and we know to date that the Truth Campaign alone has helped millions of young people by preventing them from smoking. So, fast forward to today, we've expanded our mission from just focusing on smoking to now the latest epidemic for young people, unfortunately, is vaping. Youth smoking, very successful. We've been able to drive that down through our own efforts and those of many others uh, to 5 and some measures under 4%. When we first started in 2000, that number was 23%. So unbelievably successful. We're so proud of that and all the people who work with us. But now, of course, we have a new epidemic that is as bad as the youth smoking epidemic was back when we started.
That's, I think, in some ways, one of the greatest tragedies of the youth vaping epidemic is that it didn't have to be this way, right? That so much work had been done by Truth and many of our other partners out there in public health. This is a generation of kids who would otherwise not have been initiated into tobacco use. And that, I think, and that's why we got into this and why we're so proud to be fighting so hard with you. What I guess I'd love to hear a little bit about the shift at Truth and how you shifted strategy because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it no one saw this coming, right? That Juul, appeared to come out of nowhere and change the game. Now it's not just Juul, but it was, as you said, the smoking rates were the lowest among youth that they'd ever been before the introduction of Juul onto the market. How shocked were you by what happened, and how quickly um, did you have to pivot?
Sure. I guess I would say shocked, not shocked in some ways in terms of what happened. We were seeing, as I said, great progress in driving down youth smoking, consistent declines year on year. And then back, around 2014, 15, we started seeing e-cigarettes really starting to take off with young people. But the products at the time were not as as good, frankly, as they are now in terms of the amount of nicotine they delivered, the forms that we were in. But we were nervous, and then we saw a little leveling off, and thought, okay, maybe this will be something that's a fad. The products are not that good. Kids don't like it that much. Um, and everybody then was shocked when Juul, which had been on our radar screen, but was sort of very small, all of a sudden, like a hockey stick, took off. And why did that happen? It happened because they copied all of the best tricks of the trade of the tobacco industry, and they put a product out there that first and foremost highly addictive, a different form of nicotine salts, which are much easier to be inhaled and used. They're not as irritating, so you could use much higher levels of nicotine. um, they made a product that came in all sorts of flavors that young people loved. In fact, that's all young people thought they were using. We did some research in the early days of Juul that said most kids thought all the product was water vapor and flavors. So they had no idea what they were using, and they put it into a package, if you will, a marketing package that was irresistible, looked high techy, like a flash drive, could be concealed easily. And of course, the icing on the cake was a masterful marketing campaign copied right out of Big Tobacco's playbook, making it look cool and hip all over social media. And by the way, not just Juul owned social platforms. Of course, they did that, which they could because they're not restricted from doing that. Um, but very, very smart, understanding how social media works these days and how young people not only consume messages from brands, but then they amplify it themselves by sharing on their own platforms and making it feel like it was the coolest thing out there. Everybody was doing it, and spreading the word, basically doing Jules' marketing job for them.
Talking about the vaporized campaign, which was, such a game changer and came out of nowhere. As you said, they used all the modern social media platforms and influencers, and before you knew it, we had an entire generation of kids who were juuling. It actually became a verb, and it had the largest rise in market share of any product that anyone had ever seen in the past. So, um, we later found out that they had actually come up with a marketing campaign which was targeted towards adults, and they scrapped it and came up with this vaporized marketing campaign on their own in-house. So for anyone who had any doubt that they were deliberately targeting kids, that was proof that they were. That was their goal, and they were incredibly successful.
Yeah, we know that based on, I mean, anybody looking at the campaign would know that. We know that by looking at the kinds of models that they hired, the influencers that they used, the kinds of parties that they held. It's very clear that the strategy, which is the exact strategy the tobacco industry has ever used, we've always said what the tobacco industry does and what Juul did is you have to grow your business by getting replacement users because of course in cigarettes adults eventually 50% of them become sick from smoking, cancer, heart disease, etc. And so bringing youth in from the beginning has always been the strategy. In fact, we know that Jules studied all of the documents that were discovered in that master settlement agreement, in that lawsuit, that have since become public. In fact, they're stored in the Truth Documents Library at the University of California in San Francisco. And they studied those. So they learned from the best, they copied it, and then they just updated it for the digital social age.
Right.
Um, but that's all right because we're fighting back pretty hard as well.
I want to get to the fighting back.
Yeah.
I know Dorian, often you see the Truth Orange, the ads when you watch
Well,
with
I have a 9-year-old, so
right.
yes.
So I would
So
love so that's
they're
one.
fantastic.
Right, they are fantastic, and I think that most people, if you ask them about the Truth Initiative, they certainly, have seen the ads that Truth has flooded the airwaves with, to counter, and so I guess first maybe the first place is to just sort of say, so what was your strategy?
Yeah, well, there's some things we've learned about the Truth campaign over the years that, remain consistent. Our core belief, which is as effective today as it was in the beginning, is, to come to young people in an authentic way, in a voice that is peer to peer. So we never want to be sounding like your teachers or your parents or telling young people what to do. What we've learned over all this time is that, um, first of all, you have to come to young people in a voice that feels honest and authentic to them. Sometimes that's using humor, being a little edgy, not afraid to call the industry out, and let young people know that the industry loves to manipulate them. And we let them know that. We also believe that, when you give young people the facts and you give them the ammunition to empower themselves, they most often do the right thing. So they have to have the information. Like I said before, we did research that said most kids didn't even know these products had nicotine in them. So we had to tell them that. I would say the thing that's probably changed the most from when we first started the Truth campaign to today, which in a way is just like allowed us to supercharge the campaign and the work we do, is of course now we have the internet. And so when we engage with young people and invite them to participate with us, we can actually enroll them to be activists with us, to be part of the megaphone with us, to use their own social networks to get the message out in a way that's sometimes it's even better if it's in their words and not our words, right? Because what's more persuasive than hearing something from your own peers? So, those are all the ways that we've thought about evolving the Truth campaign from its beginnings. But I think the most important elements are giving young people the facts and trusting them to use them and making sure that they understand that what big tobacco wants to do more than anything else is turn them into customers for life.
You've been so successful at getting all kinds of kids to participate in your advocacy. And I guess what's so unique about today's teen is that they feel empowered that they have a voice and they have used their voice. So you've been so successful at getting, all kinds of kids, the cool kids, the smart kids, the everything, I hate to categorize, but it's this epidemic has really crossed all borders. It's not just the risk takers who became addicted to Juul and all of these e-cigarette companies. It was all kids because, as you said, many of them didn't know there was nicotine in it, and they were just told that it was a harmless device. So I think that's one thing that Truth Above, more than anyone, has been very successful at doing.
Yeah. So, I think, one of the things that we've been doing is really helping kids. You're so right. It's not just one type of kid or another type of kid. I mean, over 20% of
Right.
kids are vaping. One fifth of all high school kids are vaping. So you can't say it's, this particular type or that particular type. Um, and so, one of the things though that we've learned as we've gone through this epidemic over the last couple of years is they didn't know a lot at first. Now they're starting to learn more. One thing they really don't like is, and I'm sure you've heard this from kids over and over, is they don't like feeling addicted. They don't like being addicted. They didn't really even know what it was, but they sure know they don't like it, and they want to quit. So, we know that about 50% of kids say they want to quit vaping, but it's very, very hard, right? We did a little study right now that actually found that 60% of youth e cigarette users want to quit vaping this year. It's their New Year's resolution. Um, so we just started a new campaign that I'm really excited about that we're calling Quit Together. And what it's really about is working with some really popular influencers on social media. We've engaged with them because they're vapors and they want to quit. People like Victoria Nunziato, a gentleman named Tasha, another guy named Jerry Perpdrank, all really, really huge followings on social media. And they're inviting all of their followers, young people, all sorts, right, to quit along with them. Because quitting for young people is hard, right? They want to quit, but they realize how addicted they are. They need help. They don't know where the help is. And they don't want to do it alone because a lot of times, there's so much social pressure. I don't want my friends to know. I don't want my parents to know. So by creating this campaign called Quit Together, we're really showing how, hey, we can all do this.
Robin, why don't we just quickly listen to a bit of the new Quit Together campaign so people can hear what it's all about?
What's up, guys? I think I'm gonna try something new.
I've decided to quit vaping and I'm gonna do it live on social media.
I don't really know what's gonna happen,
But I got the support of my friends. Yes, sir.
my family, and this is quitting.
So if you're thinking about quitting vaping also,
We can make it happen.
join me.
Join me.
Text Ditch Vape to 88709.
How do parents get their kids to focus on this campaign? Or is that beside the point? Should parents not be letting their kids know about this? Should they let them find it on their own? What is the best way parents listening get their kids to participate in this influencer run campaign?
We're putting a lot of effort behind this. So I am very confident that kids are finding their way to it and that they will see it on their channels and they'll hear about it from their friends. In the first week that we put this on, we've got over 25 million media
Wow.
video views. 250,000 kids engaging with us. So I know kids
Is
will
it on
see, young
TikTok,
people will
Robin?
see it.
Also?
Um, it's on TikTok, Snapchat, all the places, you and I probably don't spend as much time on
Oh,
as
yeah.
our
Our
young
young people are
people.
spending a lot of
But
time
yes,
on this.
right.
And it's
Yes, yes,
hashtag
yes.
quit
We love
together.
hashtag quit together. The thing that I think I can also say to parents and that I'm so excited about this campaign is it's not just telling kids not to vape, which, of course we want to encourage prevention. But it's also giving them not just, you should quit and watch these people, influencers that you like, that that are very entertaining quit, but it's giving them a real tool to quit. So we have a program called This Is Quitting. It's a text program, right? So a young person can text Ditch Vape to 88709 and enroll in the program. And what the program does, first of all, it's on your phone, which is where our young people live. It's anonymous, so if you don't want your parents to know or your friends to know, whatever, they don't have to. And you can enroll and start quitting the day you join, or you can set a quit date for like, I'm not ready yet. I want to do it in 2 weeks, and we'll send you messages. But we'll send you messages. Um, you know, multiple times for I think it's 2 months, 60 days now, so you can get help quitting. The program was developed with smoking cessation experts. We have some of the best at Truth Initiative, but also with the help of young people, so it's in their voice. If you looked at the messages, you wouldn't think adults are writing them to you, and many of them are written by the young people themselves. um, and we have enrolled over 237,000 young people in this program. In fact, in just the last week, since we started promoting it very heavily in this Quit Together ad campaign, we've gotten, I think, 5,000 new enrollees just in like a week. So kids want to quit. For parents, what I would say is if you want to help direct your kid to this program, you really want them to stop vaping, parents can either learn about This Is Quitting on we have a smoking cessation site called Become an X, and you can on the homepage you'll see that there's I want to help my help somebody quit vaping, my kid quit vaping, or they can also text quit to 202-899-7550, and they can get advice there about how to help your young person quit.
These resources that you mentioned, they're on our own website, parentsagainst.vaping.org, because parents are so desperate to help their kids quit. And as you said, um, kids are so focused on quitting. No kid wants to feel that terrible feeling of addiction, that they're not in control, and also that they're being duped by big tobacco.
One of the things we also just did is, because the schools have a role to play too, is we launched a school curriculum that's called Vaping Know the Truth. It just launched in November. We already have thousands of kids enrolled, hundreds of schools. Eventually, we hope to be in 3,000 schools this year. I believe we'll make that goal, because we know this is like the number one requested curriculum that teachers and schools are asking for. It's great because it's done in the truth voice. So again, it doesn't sound like your teacher. It sounds like kids. There are videos of young people in it. It's very much peer to peer. We specifically developed it that way with our partner, Everfi is our education partner on this. And it's all online. So when we started developing it, by the way, was before COVID. So fortuitously, we developed this as a digital program so kids can do it if they're in a school setting, if they're in a learn from home setting, they can do it at their own pace. The whole idea is to support kids, 30,000 feet, advertising up in, there, all the way down to what's happening in school.
The brilliance of all that you're doing is it's all based in research, and it's about meeting kids where they are, so in their own voices. But there is one thing that I am concerned about, and that we're concerned about for the future, and that is big tobacco is shape shifting even as we speak, and there are all of these new products that are flavored because, as we all know, this was the use of flavors to addict kids, and flavors hook kids. The research bears that out, and we see on the market now more and more products that are flavored that appear to be, to the casual observer, oh, those are quitting products. And there are things like flavored gums. People associate flavored gums with Nicorette, which is a quitting tool. But we're looking at products, and I won't use the names, but we know there are some products out there, and we've mentioned them to FDA, that are using the same kid-friendly, sexy flavors like cinnamon gum and 8 different kinds of mint gum. This is about big tobacco looking for the next generation of lifetime customers. So, our fear is that these kids who would otherwise not have been initiated into the use of tobacco products because of all of Truth's work and the work of so many others have now been addicted to. They started with Juul. There are so many other players that have followed Juul's lead. So big tobacco has addicted millions of kids, and the industry would need to keep them addicted to nicotine. Is that what we're seeing? Are you concerned about it? And how can we begin messaging about it and fight it?
Well, you talk about the industry would like to keep kids addicted to nicotine. We have the industry's own words saying that in the documents that were discovered as part of the Master Settlement Agreement, that the industry has long acknowledged that they are in the nicotine delivery business. I always use the analogy of, Coke is happy to sell you everything from Coke in a red can to Diet Coke to Dasani water, right? They're in the thirst quenching business. And the tobacco industry is in the nicotine delivery business. So, we really, really have to think about solving this problem, getting all flavored products off the market. Any product with flavors is going to be attractive to kids. We know that's how they start, that's what they like. They all have to go off the market. And one of the things that's on the horizon that we're starting to get very concerned about are these oral nicotine products, lozenges, gums. They have also relatively high levels of nicotine. They're marketed like, you know, with all the flavors. But all of this has to start with an FDA that starts dealing with these problems before they're in every kid's backpack in America, and not after the fact with, all sorts of whack-a-mole, loophole-ridden policies. I am hopeful, though, that we have a new administration. We see some really good people who have great records on tobacco being put in place. We have to make up a lot of lost ground. The last 4 years have been very disappointing in terms of, what FDA has done. There have been a lot of promises, but not a lot of follow through. And the most important thing is getting all these flavors off the market in whatever shape, form, vape. By the way, there are combustible flavored products still on the market now. W- First and foremost, menthol cigarettes. We know that young people, if they, go from vape to smoking, or if they smoke, and by the way, kids who vape are between 3 and 7 times more likely to become smokers. Menthol cigarettes is where they go, but also flavored little cigars are out there in flavors like pina colada and cherry cooler. I mean, those have to go. So there has to be a really comprehensive focus on it. And yes, we have to always be looking ahead to what's the tobacco industry's latest thing. Lozenges, candies, gums. It's all about how do we get customers for life? We hook them on
Right.
nicotine.
I think that's a great place to end. And, we are all very hopeful about what this new administration will do. We know that, the tobacco industry is not going to stop targeting our kids, and we're not going to stop fighting to protect our kids. Really pleased that you came to speak with us today. We are grateful that you are working to protect our kids, to educate our kids, to help parents help their kids to quit. And, we look forward to working together for a long time to come. So thank you.
Thank you for all the work you do. We're so grateful to have you as allies in this
Thank
fight.
you, Robin. And if people would like to get more information about how you can join our national grassroots movement to fight big tobacco's predatory behavior towards our kids, please check out our website, parentsagainst.vaping.org. And you can learn how you can join us to become an advocate, to become an educator, or just to contact your own elected officials or FDA. We need passionate parents like all of you to help us in this fight to keep our kids safe so this generation doesn't become a bunch of nicotine addicts and big tobacco's next lifetime customers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a teen or young adult at home that vapes? This is Quitting is a free and anonymous text message program designed to help young people quit vaping. Teens and young adults can text Ditch Vape to 88709 to sign up today. That's provided by Truth, the National Youth Tobacco Prevention Campaign, from our partner and sponsor, the Truth Initiative. It's the first of its kind program that helps young people feel motivated, inspired, and supported while quitting. More than 150,000 young people have enrolled since the program launched in January 2019.
The messages include evidence-based tips and strategies to quit, combined with real feedback from young people. Again, teens and young adults can enroll by texting Ditch Vape to 88709. Truth Initiative also offers free text messages for parents who are helping their children quit vaping. I myself enrolled in this program as well and would get different ideas and tips to help support my son. You can join the program by texting QUIT to 202-899-7550 or by visiting becomeanx.org to sign up.
To learn more about Truth Initiative and its programs, visit truthinitiative.org.